All right, let's try and get situated here. Somewhat. Okay. What's going on, everyone? Show the gains. Show the gains. I'm trying to get in a good spot here. What's going on, everyone? How is everyone's day going so far? So it's, if you're watching in the States, it's kind of right around, you know, midday, noon. If you're in the Pacific, it's probably a little early. But what's going on? How's everyone's day going so far? I wonder if I can move this a little closer. That looks a little better. Okay. Gonzalo, what's going on? Marky, what's up? How should we overload with incline biceps? I mean, you overload your bicep stuff just like you overload everything else. You get stronger and you add more reps and that's it. Better tempo. But I mean, you progressively overload your bicep work just like you progressively overload everything else. One second, guys. I'm just like finishing up one more message and then we'll be all good here. If you guys want to ask some questions and stuff, then we'll go ahead and we'll get some conversation going. But I got to finish up like one client message here real quick. Okay. All right. What's up, guys? What's up? Most underrated bodybuilding TikTokers. So I'm gonna be 100% honest with you guys. I don't really watch a lot of people on TikTok. I spend a lot of time on TikTok, but I'm usually either replying to comments or I'm posting videos. Hopefully everyone in this chat has asked a question on one of my videos before and has gotten a response. So I spend a lot of time on TikTok answering comments and also posting. I post anywhere from like 5 to 12 times a day. And just to be 100% honest with you, I don't really use my free time to like watch TikTok. So I don't really have an answer to that. I mean, I don't know if people would consider Kale underrated, because he obviously has a really big following, but I think a lot of people don't give Kale the credit that he deserves because they look at him and they think that he's not like, the biggest guy, but I mean, the things that he's saying are fucking true. So I don't know if that's what you mean by underrated, but I think he's a guy who kind of gets shit on at times unnecessarily. Yeah, so Gonzalo, all you do is then stick with the 30s and just build that 7 rep up. Like when you make the jump to the next heavy set of dumbbells, your reps are going to drop off pretty significantly. So then you just build that back up into another 20 repper. And that's it. That's on cable presses as alternative to flies. I think it's something that you can use. I just prefer the fly. I feel like I get greater range of motion with the fly. You can load heavier with the cable press, but I think if the loading is what you're after, I think you could just use like a traditional chest press exercise. I don't think you need to necessarily use a cable if you don't have to, but I just like to use regular flies and leave it at that. How to grow shoulders without having good cables. Just use dumbbells. I mean, cables are not a necessity. I mean, they help, but you can use machines and dumbbells and barbells and everything else. So it's just not a necessity, in my opinion. So I guess while I'm sitting here kind of waiting for some questions to feel, this may be a good opportunity just to kind of fill you guys in with what's going on right now in terms of my like my process. And so right now, I just probably 2 weeks ago now I finished up a deload, and I have been training at I would say pretty close to full volume right now for the past couple of weeks. All of my sessions have been going great. I have slowly started to incrementally increase both my food as well as my supplementation. And so the goal for this is just to have a really long and drawn out, slow gaining phase where I titrate both food and PEDs up as needed. So I think, the more and more that I look at the physique in the mirror, I think I'm kind of getting to the point where maybe next year or the year after at the absolute latest, I'm going to be looking to step on stage. So pretty much the rest of this year is going to be dedicated to kind of bringing up the legs mainly, but everything else, and then we'll start looking at doing some stuff other than that. I have some clients that are competing this year, and then obviously focusing on the coaching business as always. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Proactive or reactive deloading. I'm in my second year of training and just writing a program for myself. So this is a really good question. So if you've never deloaded before, I would definitely program them in and schedule them in. And I would schedule them in anywhere from every 6 to 8 weeks is usually where I would schedule them in. And then what I would do is, let's say you start off deloading every 8 weeks. What I would do after you run your scheduled deloads is I would take a look back and assess. Did I need to take a deload at 8 weeks? Could I have maybe gone a little bit longer? Or should I have started it earlier? And I would just run a couple instances where you have it scheduled and then assess whether or not you think that is a good length of time. I think that reactive deloads should be the way that you always should do it, and I think that's the best way to do it. But most people are not very good at gauging their own body's feedback to know whether or not they actually need a deload. So that's the thing that you need to figure out. And the only way that you're going to figure out how to kind of read your body is by following some sort of plan and then being able to assess whether or not that plan worked or not. Angelito, what's going on? What's going on? G-Jen, how's it going, man? How's it going? 3 weeks back into training since I got sick, and I'm close to full strength and size again. Yeah, I think I remember you saying something to me in one of my lives before. But that's a good learning lesson for a lot of people, is that it doesn't really take that long to get all your muscle and strength back. So not really something a lot of people should be concerned with, in my opinion. In a video, you said that when you cut, we should have an aggressive deficit without losing muscle. 1K of a deficit or lower. So I don't work in these like set numbers. Try a 1,000 calorie deficit and see what happens. I've done bigger calorie deficits than 1,000, but I've also done smaller ones than 1,000. So but I'm 10 pounds under what I was before I got sick, so I'm just leaner. Yeah, but I mean, being leaner isn't a bad thing, you know? Hey, Julian, what's up, bro? How's it going, man? How's your week been so far? What day is it today? Wednesday? Yeah, today's Wednesday. How's the week going so far? We're about halfway through. I want to be fluffy and strong and huge, and just keep eating, man. Keep eating, keep eating. Is there a day when you're gonna be shredded? Yeah, when I compete, but there's no point. There's no point being shredded unless I'm gonna compete. So it's probably not gonna be till competition time. Thoughts on cable flies before pressing movements? That's what I do personally. I pre-exhaust my pecs before I press. I don't think it's something that everybody needs to do. I do it just to, I mean, for mostly to avoid injury. I have a pec tendon and a bicep tendon on my right arm here that's kind of like iffy. And so I like to warm my chest up before I press just to be safe. But I don't think it's something that everyone needs to do. Feeling much much better this week. Excited to start the new block. I'm glad to hear it, man. I think last week was just the cumulative stress mentally of obviously training and everything, but also of school. Like I mentioned a couple times, man, we were burning that candle at both ends. It's really hard to be 100% somewhere physically and be 100% somewhere else mentally. It's just really hard to do that. So Julian, we should be wrapping up with school this week, right? If I remember correctly, the following week we'll be picking back up with the new training block, and you'll be on summer break. So I think that's going to be a good, like, this week with the deload and then finishing up school is going to be a good, like, we're going to rock it into next week. I'm pretty excited about that. How do you prioritize your weak points hitting everything once a week? So I don't know if you're asking me how I do that. I train most body parts twice a week. But if you're asking for yourself, then you're gonna have to do more volume on that body part than anything else. But if you're really trying to bring up a body part, I would suggest not hitting it once a week. Can you believe that I got in a bulk and got anemia? I haven't, I haven't, I haven't heard of that before. That would see, that would seem strange though. No, Angelito, I do not train everything once a week. The only muscles that I train once a week are like my chest and my upper back, like direct upper back work. Everything else I train twice a week. Literally everything else. So citrulline versus AAKG, I would just use citrulline. I don't really know a whole lot about AAKG, but the literature on citrulline is pretty straightforward, so I would just use that. Tomorrow's my last class, ready to absolutely get after it. Sounds good, bro. I'm excited for you, and I think that this was the right move this week. I mean, it probably kind of messes with us a little bit, like doing, a 3 week training block doesn't seem like it's that long, but if it needed to end for one reason or another, it needed to end. So, like I said, I think in the blocks coming up ahead, I think we may have some scope that we can push for 5 weeks. But we'll see. I think the 4 week has always worked pretty good for us, so far at least. But I don't think an extra week could hurt. I'm 15 years old and I have lower back pain from lifting because I lift heavy. Should I lower the weight? I think you should learn how to lift properly. This doesn't sound like an issue with the weight. It sounds like how you're lifting the weight. I mean, yeah, lower the weight and improve your technique, but there are lots of people that lift heavy and don't have lower back pain because they're lifting properly. So I would encourage you to learn how to move better. How many days a week do you train? I train 4. What are your thoughts on intermittent fasting? 16 hours fast and 8-hour eating window. It's not ideal if you're trying to gain muscle. If you're trying to gain muscle, I don't see the point in going prolonged periods of time without eating. That's just a prolonged period of time where there's no muscle protein synthesis and muscle protein breakdown and blah 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 blah, all those things. I don't think that intermittent fasting is ideal if you're trying to build muscle. So, do you do cardio? I don't. I really should. I don't do cardio in the sense of for calorie burning purposes. I would do cardio for the sense of heart benefit and benefiting my health. And to be 100% honest, now that I've started my cycle, it's probably gonna be something that I need to start doing. So thanks for calling me out on it, but I do need to get back to start doing it. I have low test, but I can squat 405. So does test when you're natty matter a lot? Yes, it does matter. I mean, it does matter. So you do PPL upper? No, I train legs push, legs pull. I train 4 days a week. 2 of those days are leg days. 1 day is a push day and 1 day is a pull day. What do you think about refeed days? Research shows it can help preserve muscle mass. So I think that refeed days are definitely beneficial. I think that a lot of the research has been done that shows refeed days to be beneficial have been shown on multiple consecutive refeed days. So whether that's 2 to 3 refeed days in a row or an entire week-long diet break, I think that they are definitely beneficial. I think that most people use them inappropriately, though. I think people get a little hungry in their diet and try to convince themselves that they need a refeed day. You don't realistically... Okay, I don't even want to say that because I don't want to make black and white statements, but refeed days are not something that most people, in my opinion, should be doing on a weekly basis until maybe they start to get really, really, really lean. But I think 95 out of 100 times, if a person thinks they need a refeed, I think they just need to just keep going. Keep going. Have you seen the old guy that you got into a scuffle with? I see him a couple times a week, but he doesn't talk to me and I don't talk to him, so, but I do see him pretty frequently. Thoughts on detox? What do you mean? Like, what do you mean by detox? One second, guys. I'll be right back. I gotta go to the bathroom. Yeah. All right. Okay, I'm back. If I get into a big deficit, how much should I hold on to it before losing muscle? So this whole idea of losing muscle in a deficit is so fucking overplayed. Like, pay attention to your strength and pay attention to what your gym performance is doing. If you're holding your strength or getting stronger while you're dieting, you're not losing muscle mass, period. If you're dieting so aggressively that your strength goes to shit, you know that you're dieting too hard. But if you do a fucking 3,000 calorie deficit and you maintain your strength, you're gonna maintain your muscle mass. So just fucking diet as hard as you can and keep your strength, man. There's no... Jen, you've asked a lot of questions about these, and a lot of the questions that you've asked have to do with, like, pertaining to losing muscle when you're dieting. So I can tell that that's something that you're scared of doing. It's not gonna happen. Maintain your strength. It's not gonna fucking happen. How do you progressive overload on a deficit to preserve muscle? The same way that I progressively overload when I'm bulking. Nothing changes between my training when I go from a bulk to a deficit, other than the fact that I would take out, like, drop sets and intensity techniques and all of that type of stuff. But in terms of, like, getting stronger and everything, nothing changes at all. So what do you do when your numbers start declining on your lifts during the deficit? You either bring food back up or you reduce your training volume so that you can maintain your strength. All right, guys, I'm going to be on for about 5 more minutes or so. Be on for about 5 minutes or so, and then I'll be heading off. So let's use this as an opportunity to get our last questions in. No, if your strength if your strength is staying the same or your strength is going up and you're eating enough protein, you're not losing muscle. Absolutely, you're not. Period. What do you think about the 4x12 on everything, kids? I think they just don't know any better. I think they just don't know any better. They don't know what else to do. But can you see your abs? Yes, I can. What supplements do you consider essential? It's a good question. I would say creatine, a fish oil, a good quality fish oil, a good quality curcumin, a D3. Let's see, D3, curcumin, fish oil, creatine. Those are really my only essentials. I mean, protein is beneficial. A carb powder can be beneficial at some times. And then if you're an enhanced user, then there's a laundry list of health supplements that I think you should be taking. But I think those are really the staple ones: creatine, fish oil, D3, and a good quality curcumin. Personally, I do 2 sets of most on my movements, and that's enough. Magnesium, I have. Curcumin is a anti-inflammatory. It's a total body anti-inflammatory. All right, guys, a couple more minutes here. So let's just, let's get our last couple rounds of questions in here. And then I'm going to call it a day. I got to get going and start getting ready for work. I got to go work this afternoon, go work at the store. Would you recommend bulking at 21% body fat? No, I would diet. I would cut and then bulk from there. What about ashwagandha? It's beneficial, but it's not something I consider essential. Do you think you can talk about anabolics in lives? So that's a good question. So I get a lot of questions to talk about anabolics. And there are 3 main reasons why I don't really talk about anabolics a lot. First is I have no idea if TikTok will allow for that on their platform, and I don't really want to take the risk of getting my account banned or suspended or anything for talking about something that I can't talk about. I see people talk about steroids and stuff on TikTok all the time, but I don't, I see the videos on my page, but I don't know what happens to the channel, days after the video goes live. Does it get suspended? Does it get blah, blah, blah? I don't know. 2, I've only been using anabolics for about a year, and I've only ever used one compound, and that's testosterone. And so just to be 100% honest, I don't think that I'm the guy to be giving advice and information on drugs that I haven't used yet, because I'm just giving you information from stuff that I've heard and stuff that I've read, and not from personal experience, and I don't think that does anybody any good. And then third, and this is really a sad one, and I kind of got to be careful about how I word this, but at the same time, I don't really care. I just don't think that the average person or the average viewer on TikTok is smart enough or mature enough to be able to handle real information on PEDs. For example, I made a video and posted a video yesterday talking about how it doesn't matter if you're on steroids or not, you can still get fat. If you take enough steroids and you eat in a 1,000 calorie surplus every day for 6 months, you're still going to turn into a fat piece of shit. And I had so many people comment on that video basically telling me that if you take enough steroids, you'll never get fat. And that's just absolutely ridiculously wrong. Hands down, just blatantly fucking wrong. Comments from people who clearly have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. And so, in full transparency, I don't want to go through all the work of putting out information on PEDs just to have people not believe me. So that's my stance on the PED talk on TikTok. Yohimbine for fat loss. I think it can be beneficial, but you got to be really lean to get the benefits from it. You got to, in my opinion, to get the most benefits out of it, you got to be sub 10% body fat or less to really start to see the benefits of it. And It can give you some pretty nasty sides, like anxiety and cold sweats are really the two main ones. I don't get either of those. At least I didn't the last time that I took it. Maybe the next time I take it, I'll get those side effects. But cold sweats and anxiety can be some really nasty side effects from yohimbine. So, like I said, can be beneficial, but you better be pretty lean to be using it. All right, guys, I'm going to use that as my last question. I'm going to get that all wrapped up and shipped. We're going to get this video out, put it on YouTube. Any questions or anything, obviously feel free to reach out on TikTok as always, or Instagram, DM, YouTube. Stay tuned to the YouTube channel. I should have a new training video coming out sometime this week going over my push A training session rotation. Should just kind of going through the programming and everything on that. And then as always, anywhere from 5 to 12 TikToks a day. So just stay tuned to all the social medias and all of the content, guys. You can find all of my channels and everything on the link tree in my bio. So take care, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys.